Chill. Jesus. Chill. How are my children today? Type glizzy. Is that me? Based. Hold on one second. Okay. Hold on. Hasan, hate clip.
So I was invited along with Pumps, with the co-host, to be the moderator.
Pumps, we miss you.
I know, Pumps. I'm the moderator for Kamala Harris's book tour.
What the
Hasan,
hell?
shut the f up. Quit smirking over there.
I'm not.
Cole,
I'm not.
do you see that?
Are you jealous? Is he jealous?
No,
Oh,
he's
I'm so
mocking.
jealous.
Green with
I'm the
envy.
moderator of her LA show. And listen, I'm excited about it. When you live in a deeply, deeply red state, you're more tolerant of centrist Democrats, even though I've become way, way, way further left.
Yeah.
But you're more tolerant because you know that.
Well, we've been at those dinner parties where you just gotta kind of stick to your guns, but in a way that no one's gonna put their drink down.
Yeah. So I am.
By stick to your guns, do they mean talking about Israel-Palestine? Is that what we're... I don't know. Okay. 11/6. Is that next month? Oh, no, that's many months. Okay. All right. How's life going? How are we doing? Hanging in there? Hasan saying a word is the feeling of pop rocks. Oh, saying a word. Okay. Question. Did you manage to revive that laptop? I did. And you know what? It's working flawlessly. Okay. I don't know what the last guy did with it. If I had to guess, this is shit that literally no one cares about. If I had to guess, the guy was booting off of some other drive, maybe? That wasn't the internal one, and he had I think it's AHCI turned on, and so when he removed his drive and sent it to me, there was no way for the laptop to recognize the internal NVMe drive, so I had to go to the advanced boot settings and all that bullshit, and then turn a bunch of random shit off. I think it was just that HCI option. I don't even know what that does to this day. I don't know. I just know sometimes it gives you problems booting. I feel like I've looked it up once or twice before. And then sometimes if your shit doesn't work, you just turn it off and then turn it on again. But everything's working on it now. Why buying a secondhand laptop as a rich person in the first place? I didn't know it was used. I thought usually on Amazon, if you're buying used, normally you have to click like a thing on the right for like the used thing. And I don't think I've ever seen like used like do prime shipping before. I feel like I've just never seen that in my life. But this one was like prime shipping, and there's like the option above where it says buy used for whatever. But I've never seen anything listed on Amazon like that before, so I just wasn't paying attention, I guess. Oh, nice. And I think it was the only one because now it's not available anymore. Based. Yeah, and it was basically new. Like the cost was new. I paid like $2,500 for it. I don't think I would ever buy a used laptop at retail. Would you return it or no point? No, I mean, as long as it works, it works. The only thing I'm worried about now that I haven't set up on that laptop, and I don't know if I will, I can't. Normally, I love RME stuff, okay? I have like 2 different interfaces because I use one in the studio downstairs. It's pretty awesome. I use this one up here, which is cool. I bought this one to use portable. Their stuff is expensive, but it's like, it's zero latency and it works. It's fucking god tier. But this doesn't have a built-in compressor, which for $1,000, I would imagine this would have built-in compression, but it doesn't do that. So I'm not sure if I need to download like software compression on OBS. I've never used it before. If I do, I would have to do it tonight and get familiar with it to set it up. Or if maybe on SM58s, maybe it won't matter that much for a live event. The problem with software compression is it adds delay, and you're going to notice that the video and audio aren't synced unless you also delay the video. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I saw this. This is just unhinged. The radical left are going to shut down the government and inflict massive pain on the American people unless they get their $1.5 trillion wish list of demands. The Trump administration wants to keep the government open for the American people. This is not a campaign email. This is not Truth Social or whatever. This is just the housing and urban development.gov website. Not a single shutdown under Biden. True. If this shutdown lasts 11 days, Trump will have caused the government to shut down for more days than all the other presidents combined. There's just, in so many different ways, Trump has just been an absolute failure. He also has, by the way, as many impeachments as all the other presidents combined, in case you were wondering. Wait, actually, more? Was Nixon impeached, or did he just resign? I don't actually know if Nixon was impeached. He might have just resigned. I don't remember, actually. Was Nixon impeached? Did they actually, like, vote on it or anything, or approved 3 articles of impeachment? They charged him with these 2 things, 3 things. And 3 contempt of Congress. By the House was a certainty. Reached the House floor for a final vote. Oh, he wasn't. Only the process of. What did Andrew Johnson get impeached for? Was this related to Civil War Reconstruction shit, or what the fuck? It was Jackson and Clinton? Damn. If the Dems take the House, can they rapid fire impeachment for all the fucked up shit Trump is doing? I think impeachment is a simple majority in the House, but it needs a super majority in the Senate. So I don't know, like, do you impeach him again? Or do you, because it's going to fail in the Senate, just to have like 3 impeachments? I don't know. I just think compression can increase feedback potential when live. No one knows how to use a mic properly, and boosting makeup gain on off to do anything without an engineer could be problematic. I would just get a basic one for OBS to set it up as a limiter. Maybe. We'll see. After months of shitting on Schumer and Jeffries for not doing enough, when they finally give a firm no on giving Trump a CR, Ken still finds a way to shit on Dems. This Ken Klippenstein
would be met
guy, he's always shitting on Dems. I will say, I really don't understand. I want to like the leadership so much, especially because I'm such an institutional cuck. But I don't understand Jeffries with the glaze statement on fucking Eric Adams. Can somebody sell this to me? Make this make sense to me. In case people forgot, I have to go back and look up the details, but basically New York City has it so that they have, like, remember how everybody's like, oh, public funding for elections. New York City has it so that the city will, like, match donations for elections with public funds up to, I think, 8-1 or something. I don't know. But I think Eric Adams basically took some kind of, like, bribe from, like, a Turkish guy who donated money to get, like, matches from the city funds, and basically, like, defrauded the city out of a whole bunch of, like, matching funds for the election thing. And I feel like this is basically foregone. Like, I think Eric Adams is almost for sure guilty of this. Like, I don't think anybody seriously contests this. And then, yeah, and then obviously there's the whole Eric Adams pardon thing, the whole Trump fiasco shit with that. Like, why would you say anything glazing about this guy at all? Dave Smith's take on Arafat withdrawing from the deal. Why? Israel, Palestine, bro, who cares? People are always going to lean into the Ben-Ami quote about they were right to refuse it or other bullshit.
Offered a state. Is that correct? Tell me yes or no. I want to understand.
It's not that they weren't offered a state. Yeah. It's that what they were offered, and by the way, we can listen to Netanyahu when he doesn't realize he's being recorded and he's bragging about how much he fooled Bill Clinton because he put all these poison pills in the agreement and therefore they would never really get a state. What they offered them was nothing.
Wait, Netanyahu wasn't involved in the in Camp David or Taba Summit. No, wasn't Ehud Barak prime minister then? Was Netanyahu like? I've never even heard of him as being a negotiator in that deal.
That really looks like a state. It was you can have technically 96% of it, but there's Israeli controls all throughout it, and all these different sections are divided against each other.
This is cringy retarded. Okay.
I thought would be met with fury on the left, but they're sort of giving up. I must be honest with you. They've had it. They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. They're bad, a lot of bad people. But all over, that's been so popular. It's been.
What hurts is that buzz. In America, it will always be 60. And in Europe, it'll always be 50. I think it's between B and B flat. If you're...
Very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight. I thought...
means something in your setup is not grounded. I got locked out of my apartment yesterday and I spent like 45 minutes trying to MacGyver my way back in before the maintenance people finally gave me a battery. I used all the electrical stuff we've learned to do absolutely nothing. But it was a fun time. There's so in order to get into my apartment, I think I know what wasn't working, okay? After experimenting with this for a while, okay? But if it would have worked, my God, what a great strategy. So I think my lock thing, I feel like it's broken. Like the batteries die way too fast. But it's whatever, because if you have a 9-volt battery, you can stick the battery here and it'll charge the door enough for you to enter the code and come in basically. So I had like one warning basically for like a day, I think, that the battery was low. And then the next day I come back to my apartment and it's dead. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a 9-volt battery on me, but down in the studio, I do have a bunch of AA batteries. Okay. Now, AA batteries are anywhere from like 1.2 to 1.5 volts. All right. So I figured all I have to do is find a way to wire these in series and then connect them here, and it should produce enough voltage in order for me to charge the thing. But the only problem was that I don't have like a bridge to complete the circuit here. So I got the genius idea of if I use my tongue, as long as my tongue is here, it should complete the circuit. And I did that for a while as I painfully am shocking my tongue, but it didn't work. But I think I realized why. I think it's because I actually don't know how this works in engineering or whatever, because I'm not an EE or an electrician. But my guess is if you have a circuit or something and you have I don't even know how to draw it, but if you've got like a high resist thing here, I'm just making up numbers, 100 ohms, and you got like a low resist thing here, my guess is like none of the current actually goes up to this one, right? All of the current probably goes down here. So my guess is my tongue was just absorbing all the current and none of it was going into the door. So I needed to find a way to balance, to increase the resistance of my tongue, but I don't know how to do that. And this was a retarded idea anyway. I actually just went to the gas station after and just bought a battery, but you know what? I was cooking for a microsecond. If it would have worked, it would have been great. Keep your tongue dry, that would increase the resistance. Yeah, but it has to be low enough for however many volts, 9 volts, to bridge the thing. Does that make sense? Because you have to complete the circuit. Like if you line up enough AA batteries, the voltage I believe, increases. I know it does because the shocks got more painful. So if you line up AA batteries, it will increase the voltage as long as they're linked in series, but you have to complete the circuit at the end here in a way that won't drain all of the current. So I don't, and I guess since, does your body count as grounded? I don't know how much electricity I would have to absorb for that to not work. I don't know. But you would want low resistance, not high. Yeah, but if the resistance of my tongue, especially covered in saliva, the resistance is too low, then I don't think anything would go into the connections here. I think all the current was just getting dumped into my tongue, is my guess. Don't you have a metal car key? I didn't have my car key on me, or I would have done that. I still don't understand why you need to use your tongue, because I didn't have a piece of metal to bridge this circuit here to make it work. There was no other way, guys. What the fuck do you mean all the current was getting dumped into my tongue? That isn't how current works? Is it not? That's my guess. Why not use your normal skin? Because I think my normal skin, the resistance is too high, so it wouldn't conduct anything coming out of the batteries. The voltage on the batteries, I think, would have to be a lot higher. To overcome human skin, isn't it like 150 volts? Or maybe 100 volts? I don't remember. I think it depends on like where on your skin it is, or if you're sweaty, or... How long did you try using your tongue for? Well, with 6 batteries connected, I could do it for a long time, but at 8 batteries, it hurt too much, so I only did it for like 10 seconds. And I was like, okay, this is fucking retarded. I don't think this is charging anything. You had 8 batteries in the studio, but no metal to bridge it? Not that I can think of. Like, I have like metallic pieces, but they're like coated with paint or something else, and I don't think those would work as a conductor. I think the real problem is your tongue was just sinking everything to ground. Yeah, I don't actually know what ground technically means. Like, would my body just be the ground? But yeah, I think that's what was going on. I'm pretty sure all the current was just disappearing into my body, is my guess. Did you not have a paper clip? No, who the fuck carries around paper clips? How did you hold all 8 batteries together and lick them? So I was bringing up SDI cables from my studio downstairs. So I undid the Velcro straps from the SDI cables, and I Velcro strapped the batteries all together to make a giant 8 series. It was 4 on one side and 4 on the other. Listen, if it would have worked, okay. If it would have worked, it would have been amazing, all right? It would have just been the best. It would have been I would have felt like a genius, all right? Please reenact this.
Tongue DC.
Oh yeah, but I think his voltage is way higher here. Mine wasn't that painful. It just, I think at 8 batteries, it was too much to hold it. Like, I was worried that I would like get electrical burns on my tongue. I think with 6 batteries, it was fine. But with 8, it was a little bit too much. The voltage is additive, right? So I think 6 batteries at 1.2, so it was like around 6 to 8 volts or something. With 8 batteries, I think it was a little bit in excess of 10 volts. It was too much. Too much. The best trolls blur the line between truth and reality. The takeaway here is that Destiny 100% did the tongue thing, and he's trying to save face by adding to the meme. I'm not adding to the meme anything. I did all of this, and it didn't work. There was no meme on this, okay? I'm just saying that if it would have worked, it would have been the sickest thing ever. Okay?
Tongue is very low resistance, so the current would be higher. Let's measure it at 3 volts. Okay, tongue at 3.
Yes, the voltage is added, but the current is the same since they are limited by internal resistance of the sources, the batteries. Sure, that makes sense. You need to get a tongue piercing in case this ever happens again. I think the same thing would happen, though. I think a lot of the current would just disappear into my body. I think I would just end up absorbing a lot of it. Mike Israetel's PhD, the biggest academic sham in fitness, really the biggest one. Aren't you triple boosted for COVID? Oh, I went to the pharmacy today and I got all my shots. I told them I hadn't taken like any boosters past the first one, so they had to give me like 8 boosters. And I was like, 8 boosters in one arm? And they were like, no. So they did 4 and 4. Hold on, where is it? I got this guy here. My little Band-Aid I had 4 Pfizers here, and then I did 4 Modernas here, I think. I was going to do like 2 Pfizers and 2 Modernas in each arm, but I figure if I like brand it, I can tell now. So like if I get COVID and I'm more sick on the left side of my body versus the right side of my body, I'll know like the Moderna was more effective than the Pfizer, you know? Didn't that cost like $5,000 now? I'm going to be honest. Those shots are way more expensive than I thought they would be. Damn, they kind of fuck you if you need insurance for this shit. Also, I like how Pfizer rebranded their shit and they call it Spike Vax. Like, isn't that like the scariest name to give the vaccine if you're worried about dying? But I think it was like $250 just for the COVID one. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Other JD students at Melbourne Law School use their database access to read case law. I used mine to download Mike Israetel's PhD thesis, which I read in its entirety. For those unfamiliar, Mike Israetel is a prominent figure in the fitness world. He's a competitive bodybuilder, a highly successful YouTuber, and the creator of the popular Exercise Scientist Critique series. Mike frequently highlights his status as a PhD holder across all his platforms, from his Instagram handle to dozens of YouTube videos.
Dr. Mike here for RP Strength.
His company website and advertised products. But what about the academic rigor of the PhD itself? In this video, we'll examine just that. I'll conduct a critical analysis of the doctoral research.
If you're wearing shoes, your body probably isn't grounded. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't actually know what ground means, but I don't think ground means like actual ground. I think ground just means a thing that can absorb like an ungodly amount of current and not get a charge or something, right? Where's my electrical people at?
That forms the basis of Mike's credibility as an exercise scientist. In chapter 2 of this video, I'll provide an overview of Mike's thesis.
I guarantee you had the polarity the wrong way whenever you connected the batteries to the circuit. I don't think I had the polarity wrong. I think if the polarity was wrong, I don't think I would have felt it in my tongue at all. I think I would have felt nothing. I think if you feel anything, then the circuit must be completed. You have to complete the circuit to feel a shock, right? Like if I connected the polarity wrong on both sides of my tongue, you would just feel nothing.
Chapter 3 will then outline the standard assessment criteria for PhD theses. Building on this, Chapter 4 presents my core.
Grounded means that the electricity can travel through it and dissipate in Earth. I don't think it has to be Earth. I don't think there's anything special in Earth. I think it just has to be a thing that has like a massive capacitance for absorbing electricity stuff, I think.
Core argument that by these standard academic criteria, Mike's PhD thesis would likely fail, or at the very least be sent back for major revisions at any high-ranking university. Chapter 5 outlines why this finding matters, and
Your body doesn't absorb the current. Your tongue is not a great conductor, so it acts as a resistor, which causes voltage drop. So you didn't build up enough voltage to trigger the door. I don't know that much about electrical stuff, but I can't tell if everything you're saying is like completely wrong. Because isn't every conductor a resistor? Everything has resistance. Is there a difference between like a conductor and a resistor? Isn't every conductor some kind of resistor? Your tongue doesn't have low enough resistance for what you were trying to do? Why, you don't think your tongue with saliva What is the resistance of a saliva-coated tongue? Tongue resistance. It was moving current. You can feel it. You can feel the current go through your tongue when it's because it hurts and then it like wiggles. Tongue resist. Oh fuck. Tongue varies based on moisture, with a wet tongue having significantly lower resistance than a dry one, potentially around 7,000 ohms. Jesus. Or 7 kilo ohms, according to some sources. This lower resistance allows more current to flow, which is why a 9-volt battery can create a tingling sensation on the tongue. Oh, that's what I was trying to make. Probably way higher than the copper wire. Actually, you're probably right. It wasn't that my body was eating all the resistance. My tongue would have been, even wet, would be way higher than copper. Wait, so then why wouldn't it have charged the other side? If you add a huge resistor on one side, oh, because the current has to flow through the whole circuit, so it was probably moving very little current to the other thing, you think? That's okay. That's what was happening. Okay, that's my guess. Do I want to watch an hour video? Is the critique good or does it matter? Or what is the... I don't care. I do care about Hasan Slop, though.
He's doing exactly what I said he was going to do. He's going to tell you that, and by the way, this is a wrong statement that he's going to deliver.
Why does Auk, when he uploads these clips, why do these clips always suck? The audio is always fucked. I don't think Hasan's stream normally sounds like this.
Wrong statement that he's going to deliver. But don't you think things would be better for trans people right now if Kamala Harris, after making concessions about transphobia and leaning into anti-trans narratives, if she had won, don't you...
Leaning into anti-trans narratives?
You think things would be better for trans people as opposed to right now? The reason why this is wrong is twofold. Number one, at that point, all you've done is, once again, concede to the right-wing framing on trans people presenting some outsized harm to the American population. It's not only incorrect, but it's a harmful narrative, and you've leaned into it. And in that process of leaning into it, you have normalized it. You have legitimized the claims of your opponent. Number two, your opponent, in the aftermath of that recognition, will just turn around and say, see, these fucking pro-trans losers even recognize I'm right. Vote for me. I will deal with the trans people with the integrity necessary. Okay? So not only do you look hypocritical, but you end up fucking losing for that reason. Because you can never defeat the Republicans on hate mongering. You just can't. Okay? The second part of
why this guy doesn't give a fuck about any of these social issues. If you're a trans person and you take any like direction from Hasan, you're actually such a fucking loser. You're like one of the boutique transies who have like the facial feminization surgery and the $50 million body mods and everything. You're so far removed from any actual like trans stuff. You're basically like a showpiece for fucking tankies or whatever. It's actually so fucking cringe. I can't imagine like a real life human being ever looking to this guy for social issues. This is like exclusively if you want to do like the tanky class shit. It's so cringe when he LARPs on social issues after, like, we've seen clips of him saying literally like the social issues are just memes. These are just things that people dangle in front of you to distract you. Ugh.
The second part of the story that is also objectionable, which I have not even waited for his statement, by the way, and I'm already fucking arguing against what I know he's going to say with my heart of fucking hearts because I've heard it so many goddamn times from other liberals, is that Joe Biden was president when Republicans were aggressively hitting the anti-trans narratives and also successfully implementing anti-trans legislation at the state legislature level already, building the fucking framework for what came next. And in the absence of fighting back against that, the administration also allowed this to happen in some very meaningful ways. Anyway.
Okay. Dude, I saw the cringiest fucking thing. Sorry, this is my only Hasan slot for the day. I don't do much of it at the moment, okay? So I get a little bit. Oh my God. What the fuck is this? 3.3K comments. Holy fuck. I know that people are maybe not as connected to Twitch culture anymore, but just this is a tale as old as time. Streamers in the past didn't like to go to TwitchCon because if you could stay home and stream while the other streamers were at TwitchCon, then you get to eat up all their viewers, okay? One of the biggest, most triggering moments in the history of all of Twitch streaming, oh my God, the amount of ass pain, okay, reverberated to the streaming world so much. I think this was like 2017, was when you were at TwitchCon and Twitch announced Twitch Prime subs, and everybody who was at TwitchCon was like, wait, what? And then the people who stayed home started getting hundreds or thousands of Twitch Prime subs. And you're like, no, they only have one of these to give. Oh my God. Every streamer that went to TwitchCon was so fucking ass paid. They were so mad about it. Oh my God.
I missed the social.
But anyway, yeah, when Valkyrie and Pokemon say like, oh, we don't want to go, we're worried about our safety or whatever, I don't think there are legitimate concerns of safety. It's TwitchCon. There is so much security here. They wand you and they check bags and everything going in. I've never heard of like a crazy thing happening at a TwitchCon. Some people will say, oh, what about that one time people were stealing stuff or somebody got assaulted or whatever? These are like at after parties and shit, which you don't have to go to. Or like at other venues, not at the actual like TwitchCon venue itself.
I missed the social Hasan era. There is unfortunately an obvious setback there because of, one, all the political incidents that have taken place, and two, how those political incidents have had some pretty significant consequences in how much I can go out in the real world and socialize with other people. As I said already, I'm not going to TwitchCon, not because I'm worried about my own safety, but I'm literally not going to TwitchCon because I'm worried about the safety of others. I don't want to put them in the fucking crosshairs if some psycho freak decides like, I'm going to go there. I'm very publicly not going to TwitchCon for that.
It's like, he's so cringe. Like, nobody cares about you. Has there ever been like a right-wing violent thing that's happened to him while streaming or while out at some event? I don't think it's ever happened ever. And he's in these huge crowds of people. Like, I don't know where he's getting this idea that nobody on the right wing cares about you. Nobody's going after you. Nobody gives a fuck. Like, all you do is shit on Dems all day long. No one cares about you, bro.
That reason. So make with that information, do with that information what you will.
Him trying to present this as like, I'm saving other people. Oh my God, dude. Just say that you don't want to go because you want to stay home and stream, and that's it. That's fine. Just do that. Whatever you think of Hasan, all it takes is one mentally ill person to do something. It's 100% a justified concern. So is Hasan not going to be doing any public events ever? If Mamdani or AOC or Bernie wants to do another public interview, Hasan's going to dodge that? Of course not. Like, it's so cringe. Also, these people that are doing these weird, like, Marvel fantasies, let's say he goes and innocent bystanders get hurt or killed on an assassination attempt on him. The same people hating on his decision not to go would berate him for egotistically putting others at risk. What? Who has ever said anything like this ever? I can't believe this guy went to a public area and got shot at and now he got other people hurt. No one is, like, they're inventing. This is like the conservative MO right here, is like inventing things to be mad at and then, or inventing straw man arguments and then getting mad at the straw man arguments. What are you talking about? Also, yeah, fuck off with this, like, revolutionary rhetoric and all the whole, like, how are you putting out videos? How are you doing these cringe fashion shoots?
I'm here to talk to you today about music, art, fashion, one of the greatest problems that our generations are facing. The biggest scourge that affects our society. Against all of the cultural and social progress we've seen is the battle against intellectual thought. Are you guys comfortable with that? This is a war against critical thinking, a battle against intellectualism. It's a war against rational behavior. And we're not even aware of it. And that's terrifying. Whew. What kind of an example are we setting? The problem with America is that because of cultural imperialism, we are literally teaching the rest of the world how to think, what to wear. The Kardashians are lying to you. Culture used to be the backbone of the resistance. All it seeks to do is sedate the masses. Culture now seeks to appeal to our primal urges, our base needs. We're now in the age of mediocrity. You can bring about the positive change you want to see in this world, because the revolution will not be televised. Revolution will not be televised. Only you can bring about the revolution by taking it to the streets. Keep resisting. Billy Joel is going to be upset if we don't talk about fashion. You know what I mean?
Like, these are our revolutionary leaders, dog. Like, I can't go to TwitchCon. Like, in that case, you could never go anywhere public ever again. If you don't trust a convention with tons of security, where everybody's being wanded and metal detected going in and out of the door, where you're going to have security on site, like, you will never be at a more secure event unless you are literally custom booking your own security at events. Like, does Hasan even have security with him when he goes out and does his shoots? I don't even know if he does. I don't know. I just think it's cringe. He should have at least one guy with him. Makes sense in this political climate. Oh my God. He almost died at a routine airport interview. MAGA doesn't need to assassinate him. If they get too close in a red hat, he might just keel over. True. I think it also would have been fine. I still would have made fun of him for it, but less so. If he would have just said, like, I don't feel like going to TwitchCon. I feel like it's kind of like spicy right now. It's like, okay, fine. But this whole, like, I'm just trying to protect the others around me. Oh my God, dude. The takes in this thread are depressing as fuck. Political violence is insanely prevalent, and this guy has been singled out by the White House. What? Singled out by the White House? And people in here still being petty like this is content drama. Y'all should be embarrassed. He's the one who turns all of this into content drama. The people criticizing this in these comments just want Hasan to get shot. I bet these are the same people who are crying and screaming over leftists mocking Charlie Kirk. Oh, fuck. Wait, was that actually the title of this? No shot. Wait, did they change the title? Oh. This is right after Charlie Kirk gets killed, too. Wait, what? I feel like a lot of people are far less vicious when they get to see the other person, when they get to be around the other person. And recently, before the internet, before the technological availabilities, that was the overwhelming majority of our interpersonal relationships. It was always in person. It was always face-to-face. And I think we've lost that. And that's how I try to keep myself as grounded as possible, which is ironic, of course, since political violence such as this one also makes it harder for me to go out in public. But that's why I said I can't let fear dictate my life. Ugh, whatever. I mean, he kind of hedges here, I guess. I was supposed to be sitting next to this guy 2 weeks from now at a public event. I'll just probably wait it out, but at a certain point, you can't let fear dictate your life. And that's been my MO, in spite of all the death threats that I've received for many, many years at this point. It's just unfortunately part of the process. It shouldn't be. God, it's so cringe. This guy's so fucking cringe. Okay. I think my favorite thing ever was Hasan saying, like, I don't think I can go to Gaza. And I'm like, that's a reasonable position. I don't think I would feel safe necessarily going to Gaza. But then he's like, I can't go to Gaza because the IDF will kill me. Mate. Really? The other thing he says, the Charlie Kirk's killer wasn't politically radicalized. Did I say that? I thought I said there was no proof that he wasn't. There's no proof so far that he's been politically radicalized. I'm sure he must have been somehow, but we don't have any proof one way or the other. I feel reasonably confident. I'm going to say like 75% that the guy that killed Charlie Kirk was not politically radicalized. Nothing has come out at all about this. I feel like we're never going to hear about him again. Well, I guess Mr. Charles will. So the fact that it sounds like trying to the left, was it? Did I not say that before or after this? This is like... fuck, I don't remember the context of this. Watch full video. Will this go to the clip? Like, I feel fucking cringe because one...
In a pain to protect the flotilla. Erdogan probably watched your stream yesterday. Yeah, he listens to me, dude.
It's so fucking cringe because one, he's never sang this song before. And then two, like, I feel reasonably confident. I'm going to say like 75% that the guy that killed Charlie Kirk was not politically radicalized. Nothing has come out at all about this. I feel like we're never going to hear about him again. Well, I guess Mr. Charles will. So the fact that it sounds like trying to claim this is like, to write this as a far left shooter, violence is like cooler for him. God, it's so fucking cringe. Oh my God, he's such a fucking cringe loser. That's an Hasan, retard. The harder he gets Trump over his son, the more he looks like a martyr. PW. What? Martyrdom is bullshit. I don't think it's real. I don't know why I didn't say to the left. I'd have to go back and watch. Maybe I said it earlier in the context of this. Because I feel like if he... I feel like I said this exactly. Like, if this guy was politically radicalized to the left, we would have heard about it by now. 100 trillion %. Well, if they would have found anything, we would have heard about it by now. So I feel like he wasn't. He's either radicalized to the right or just on some edgy internet shit. But it wasn't, like, necessarily hardcore political. God, this is so cringe that he was singing this song. Oh my God, he's such a fucking
and it's really
loser.
interesting because...
Kill me. Loser. That's an Hasan, retard. The harder he gets Trump over his son, the more he looks like a martyr. PW. What? Martyrdom is bullshit. I don't think it's real. True. It's not good to die. Just got off work. Did you see an LDS church got shut up by 40-year-old mega dude? No. I'll probably look at after this. Covering the Stoops. WTF 2 Destinies? True and based. Didn't we already watch this? Paradise tries her hot take. An hour-long video. The Unforgivable Sins of Miss Rachel. You really want to watch this? 1 minute. Good one. 2.5 hours, bro. Oh, I saw this.
Breaking.
Okay, no one cares. Little bro. I should have said to the left. But I stand by that. I don't think it was. Or that at least it's still hidden. Yeah, there is no public record of any concrete political belief that this guy has. So the fact that Hasan is like trying to claim this is like... What?
That's branded. I mean, yeah.
So, and some other girl that you were like collabing with.
Yeah, don't say it. So okay.
Yeah. But I was.
If you kill somebody that does politics, I mean, more likely than not, you're radical. Like what?
Like, it was just
Like
like,
what?
it was that type of obsession. It was like a
I need people to understand this, okay? Most of you guys are probably north of 100 IQ, just by virtue of being on computers, being on the internet, the majors and shit you probably have, okay? I'm trying to warn you, okay? I had this huge problem in my early 20s and probably my late teens. Don't fall for the high IQ heuristic trap, okay? Where somebody who is like above average intelligence thinks that they can just put together the entire world on mental modeling without ever acquiring or gathering any facts. It is literally the stupidest possible way to ever assemble a view of the world and communicate it to other people. Like, XQC is an intelligent guy, and so he has
TikTok
like
obsession.
patterns
Like,
and
edits
stuff
came
that
on
he
my
uses to
TikTok.
put together the fucking world, which is okay.
So
It's not horrible, but you also need to collect facts and data. Like, yes, if you kill a political figure, chances are you were, my guess is going to be politically radicalized. But so far for this guy, we've seen nothing. Like, why would you counter someone else's take with just a blind heuristic that you're applying? Literally the same as Asmongold. Asmongold is probably the most guilty of this I've ever seen in my entire life. Of somebody being decently intelligent, but being too lazy to do any homework or any research or to understand what they're talking about. And so they just use like pattern recognition to try to put together like these massive views of politics in the world. It's so bad.
and some other girl that you were like collabing with.
Yeah, don't say it. So okay.
Yeah. But I was.
If you kill somebody that does politics, I mean, more likely than not, you're radical. Like what?
Like,
Have you been sending Hasan clips to Republican senators ahead of the Twitch/Reddit House hearing? No. I would never, ever, ever, ever work with Republican anybody in the House ever having to do with anything relating to speech, ever. Fuck those fucking losers. I would protest, as much as I joke about it, I would protest Hasan's deportation by any of the subhuman demon spawns that exist in this Congress. I would protest that a million times over before working with them on fucking anything. These people are actual ghouls.
You know, it was just like it was that type of obsession. It was like a TikTok obsession. Like edits came on my TikTok, I would
Did
save
you see
them,
Battlefield
and then
6
maybe
live
later I
action
would
trailer?
rewatch them because they just brought me a little bit of joy inside.
Guys, killing somebody is radical. Whether something is radical politically or not depends on your motive and the ideology behind it, why it happened. And you could probably say that targeting somebody who does politics and in a radical manner means you're probably radicalized, more than likely radicalized politically. What about it? It's
More than likely, sure, and I would agree with that, but we haven't seen anything yet. Destiny Limeo, you're literally applying a blind heuristic as well. Quote, the FBI haven't made public his radicalization, therefore he probably wasn't radicalized, end quote. What do you think a blind heuristic is? The reason why I'm applying that heuristic currently is because the FBI was publishing and publicizing everything they could about this guy's political beliefs and anybody around him, and then they went silent. That's not a blind heuristic. That's looking at past behavior and assuming it's predictive of future behavior. It's the exact opposite of what you're saying. You're fucking retarded. Kafka, what do we got? Hi, okay, go. What's up?
Hey, we've got a new issue of the Pragmatic Papers that's out, number 28. So throw it in the chat right now. Hey everybody, it's me, Kafka Esquire. Well, no, go ahead.
I thought it was the 29th, but I see it's September 29th. So okay, go, hit me up.
Yes, it was released on that date. Okay, we've got 4 articles. The first one that I really liked was Blakey B. His article really focuses on kind of fascism and why Trump and the MAGA regime are. Hey, people are.
Wait, your shit is lagging. Fix. Wait, stop. Do that again.
Okay, one moment. Oh, 1 second. Let me change something on my end. Is this better?
Sure, try it again. But it was cutting off before, so.
Okay. So it talks about how fascism is really like, everyone's like, oh, this word doesn't mean anything anymore. So it's like, okay, great. And it goes into what fascism is, like in very good detail. And it gives a lot of really good examples of why we would call it fascist. So like, if for whatever reason you were in an argument about it and people try to bring up, oh, it's not this because of that, it's got a really great, like, here's the specific reasons why you would call it fascist. And here's the specific examples of why Trump fits those reasons. I just really liked it as an article. It felt really good in that it's kind of building an argument that you can kind of take into your normal life, where like maybe you confront people or you have to confront people, and this kind of gives you that kind of one spot to go to give you everything you need to make that argument.
Sure.
Then
I will say, without having read this article, and I don't know what thing they go into, you need to be able to identify why a thing is bad, not just call it fascist. Although it looks like this article goes into that. So yeah. Okay, but yeah. That's the yeah. Because I think for a long time people have relied on calling people like fascists or Nazis or whatever, but not like actually moving on to clarify like this is why this is not good. We don't want this type of thing in the United States. But yeah, it looks like he does that there. Okay, next article.
Next one is Recognition of Palestine. This one's by Demosthenes Rex. He's been a really great writer covering the Israel-Palestine conflict. And so this kind of goes into the recent recognitions of the Palestinian state by multiple countries. It kind of takes an international look at it and discusses some kind of like disruptions of the status quo, what this means for international relations amongst countries or with Israel, and kind of it points out that, this isn't a fix. It doesn't actually create a state, but it's kind of, it's a big signal, and 2, it really forces the conversation to be, at least take a step in a direction rather than just kind of like, I guess we're all just going to watch Israel do stuff while we pass resolutions. Whether or not that kind of pans out to be more is not clear, but it at least feels more like a bigger step than just a resolution at the UN. Interestingly, Reason Rifts also wrote about Palestinian recognition, except his is more from a specific, like from the UK's perspective, how that fits into their kind of political landscape and kind of how we got there in UK politics and why this has kind of been telegraphed. But then it also talks about talking about the settlements in the West Bank, which often kind of go under the radar whenever we're discussing things because of the Palestinian or the Gaza conflict that's happening right now, and kind of talking about, hey, here's kind of where those settlements are heading towards and like how we need to resolve them and how this recognition affects that resolution. So I think it's actually like two really good perspectives. I wouldn't say they're dueling or like counter to each other, but they both give, I feel like, one is a little bit more broad and one is a little bit more targeted at a specific country that recognized Palestine. And so I think it's on the news and people have talked about it apparently. So I think they're both really good articles for that. And then our last one was by Miss Agent M. And she did a great job of giving us an article about Charlie Kirk's assassination, goes through the events, does a really good media analysis as always, and then comes in and talks at the end about kind of the environment we're in and why the environment we're in encourages divisiveness and kind of punishes people that are calling for moderation, right? Like, I'm sure that you've experienced this because you are not calling, you are technically calling for moderation, but you are experiencing the most pushback, whereas people that are calling for divisiveness are getting the most praise, right?
Sure.
And so it goes into talk about like kind of how a lot of apathy by a lot of political actors and voters and stuff allows for that to populate and allows for this to happen, and how we need to come out of that kind of passivity and kind of make sure that people know you need to be out here talking about things need to be moderated. And yes, you're going to get pushback on that, but you need to accept that that's a reality of it.
Okay.
So those are the articles this week. They're really great. I appreciate everybody went and read them. Real quick, also, ZipZip finally got the video uploaded of our first episode of the E-Court. Everybody go check it out and watch it and give us feedback. It's over on ZipZip's channel on YouTube. It's just named after him. It's ZipZip45. We'd really appreciate feedback on that. We're trying to make something fun over there. And then for you, Destiny, I heard you recently covering the Adam drama stuff, right? Regarding, I'm not sure exactly what it all was about, but in there you were talking about zoophilia and how you think it's hypocritical for zoophilia to be illegal whenever we eat animals. Am I summarizing your position correctly?
Or it's funny, I guess, yeah. I don't think there's any way to logically make it work without like super appealing to just feelings on things, yeah.
Okay, this reminds me of our conversation we had about child porn.
Jesus.
And I feel like whenever
let's do this at some weeks from now. I don't feel like having this convo right before I go to fucking die at some West Coast event. This is not the convo I feel like having. I don't want this to be
it's not going to be about that. It's just going to be about how
even about zoophilia. I don't know why. Like what?
You brought it up, and I'm just trying to address it. Is all. So I'm just saying it was more about crime and criminal law. Is all.
Okay.
We don't need to go into the specifics of those things. I'm just saying. It seems like whenever you look at criminal law, any criminal laws and stuff, the best question is like, why do we have it? In the sense of like, when the lawmakers wrote it, what are they trying to prevent, and what kind of society are they trying to create? Whether or not like it lines up with like the morals or is hypocritical with those, I don't think that's that big of a factor compared to what are we trying to prevent as far as like the externalities of the behavior that the crime is trying to address, right? So whenever you see those kinds of laws, there might be some hypocrisy in society as a whole, but preventing that crime really has a lot more to do with preventing the things that result from it, right? So that's all. Whenever you get back, and it would not be, this discussion won't be played.
I don't feel like that's always the case, though. No, I feel like a lot of it is just how people feel about the particular thing.
I mean, yeah.
Like, have we ever talked about like the sex offender registry?
We haven't, no.
Why the fuck does that exist? Like, if I was moving into a neighborhood, I would much rather know, like, who's been, convicted of arson, robbery, murder. I would have a much higher interest on this than, like, who is on the sex offender registry. Like, why do we have one but not the other? Why not, like, have all crime? I don't know, this seems kind of strange.
Well, semantically, I guess, like, the miniature thing in there is you can look up who your people's criminal records. You can see what people have been convicted of. But there's not, to your point, a database that's easy to access to see it all. But I think that there's, with the sex offender registry, it's pretty easy to chart the path of, we want to make sure we know where people are that have committed sex crimes, because those are really bad, and we want to protect our children from them. Whether or not the result is like good, I actually have a lot of very strong opinions about the sex offender registry.
Okay.
Is another question. I think that whenever we're looking at it, it's like, okay, children, we need to protect children from people. If we know who those people are that are going to prey on children, it'll make it easier for us to do it. So we should have a sex offender list, right?
Why not just the same answer that you just gave for arson? You can always look up people's criminal records, no?
You could, but there is, I think that the interest in protecting property from being burned down is lower than protecting children from sexual assault. I think there's very, 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 very high interest in preventing children from being sexually assaulted. And so that sex offender registry is a lot easier for people to justify and create laws around. Whereas with arson, there's just not that big, there's just not that
I don't want my house, I don't want my shit to get burned down, but okay. Yeah. I mean, I
Maybe
see it.
so,
I feel like it's kind of, yeah.
But if I'm right now, if I say, Destiny, I think you're an arsonist, people aren't like, oh fuck, let's go find Destiny's garage. Let's go look through his shit. Let's go see what he's got. Maybe he is an arsonist. But if you get accused of being a pedophile, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but people then want to look through all your stuff and they want to be able to see everything you've ever looked at to try and see if it's not true, right? So like people's reactions to that is where that motivation comes from. And then they're saying, okay, these are the kind of things that we're trying to protect or things that we're trying to prevent. And that's where this criminal law, right, comes into play of what we want to do. And so that's kind of just, I think that it's fair for you to make the critique that it's hypocritical. I'm just saying, like, whenever they're writing these criminal laws and where these criminal laws come from, it's rare for it to be like, we want to make sure that we're like not being hypocritical about things. It's more of a, what is the specific interest that we're trying to protect and things like that.
Okay.
It was great talking to you. Everybody, go read the Pragmatic Papers. Oh, also, if anybody has ideas on, like, they want to contribute or something, feel free to reach out to me directly. I actually have been helping people workshop their pieces before they submit them. It's really, I really enjoy the process, so feel free to just reach out to me and just, even if you just want to chat about an idea, my DMs are open. All right, you have a good one.
I love you, bye.
Love you too.
Wait, is this true? The dude who killed, oh fuck, I don't remember why. Shinzo Abe, right? Killed him because his mom donated all their money to a cult the prime minister was connected to. Is that why he got assassinated? The guy who shot Ronald Reagan did so because he thought it'd make Jodie Foster want to be his girlfriend. Is that true too? Damn.
That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under police the far reaches and somehow come to believe that. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under.
Have you heard of the Cold War, sir?
Invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms.
It's so cringe because he has completely and totally, and he's not even like a white nationalist or like a neo-Nazi type person, but he's like completely managed to co-opt all of the like the great replacement talking points here. The idea that we're under invasion from another people. They're coming here to try to replace us and to try to, I guess, like, destroy our country. Like, he's managed to somehow get all, I don't know who's he's been talking to lately. That's Miller's. Oh, maybe Stephen Miller could be feeding this to him. Maybe, sure.
They come out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. That's what it is.
He said from within. He's talking about the Democrats here. Is he? I thought he was talking about illegal immigrants.
Politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. That's what it is.
I can't tell. It could be immigrants or Democrats. Immigrants don't invade from within. That's why they are immigrants. Well, I mean, if they come to your country legally and claim asylum, it's like they're invading us. That language is... I've never heard invading as a thing applied to a domestic enemy. This would be the first time I've ever heard that phrase used before. I've never heard, not from within. Democrats aren't invading us from within. They're not invading us. It doesn't make any sense. It's retarded. But I mean, it could be retarded either way. I guess, like, either way is not good. But this guy's fucking retarded. It's hard to understand. I don't know. I don't even fucking know. Okay, I'm talking to a guy. Totally is Mark. I think this guy's like a YouTuber guy before, or is. Hi, what's up, buddy?
Hello.
Wait,
Long
your
time
YouTube
no-
name is Totally Not Mark?
Yeah, that's me.
Well, why is your Discord name Totally Is Mark? What am I supposed to believe?
Well, I like to begin every single interaction with a lie, so don't know where you don't know what you're gonna get from me.
Okay.
Sorry for the what was I gonna say, the sudden call, just because like I live in Ireland, so I have like very little time. But fuck it, we'll have a short conversation. First things first, the Unfuck America tour. How's it going?
Okay, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason I wanted to call was, well, I was watching a clip from that, and some person who was, I think it might have been a Q&A section or something. I'm not sure of the format of the actual tour itself, but one guy came up and kind of sort of exploded on you. No, that's not uncommon, but sort of exploded on you on, like, in terms of, rhetoric and the talk of that is sort of a big hot button issue these days. And I'm just wondering, now I wanted to talk to you about this actually 1 year ago when I was on the Anything Else
with me and Dan.
It was, I think you had me on right after the Trump assassination attempt. Is that right? Was that August last year? I can't remember. But yeah, I wanted to ask you about your position when it came to because I remember way back when, or not way back when, but a year or two ago, you had like a back and forth with Ben Shapiro, with Jordan Peterson, with a host of more bigger figures in the right wing and stuff. I'm just wondering, you had an approach with them, and then you suddenly changed that approach. Now, obviously, this is a very a boring position to take. I don't agree with your shift away from that. I do in some ways, and I don't in other ways. But I'm just wondering, just on the outset, before I assume or get into anything, I'm just wondering, what's the goal with this sudden, well, not sudden, but change in approach to, because I don't think your politics have changed at all. I just think the way you've approached conversations with people who disagree with you has radically shifted to a more aggressive tone. And I don't think that you're a kind of a person that does things without purpose. So I'm just wondering, from the outset, what's the motivation behind that change?
So I think that there is I think that there's like a range of what I would call like acceptable beliefs. And I think that within the range of these acceptable beliefs, there's like plenty of room for a multitude of people to occupy different positions, and that we should have, some kind of like reasoned debate on these things. I think that for a long time, I'll say the left is definitely the right now, but at least in the circles that I ran in, like the left was kind of like unwilling to fight on a lot of these things because it felt like they kind of had some kind of position that was just beyond
Moral authority.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But like they had a position that like didn't need to be justified or didn't need to be rationalized, and so they would kind of forego any of those conversations with the right. So for a long time, I would kind of part of what I do, I mean, I've gone back and forth different things in my career, depending on how I engage with people in terms of arguing about it. And then I think that there are beliefs that are outside of the range of acceptable beliefs. And I think that for these, I think that the way that you approach them is a bit different. And I feel like if you give too much ground while arguing these, I think you end up in a world where you are kind of sane washing them, and then you're not providing like a safe platform for people to feel sane when they're like abhorrently, or when they feel like these beliefs are abhorrent.
Yeah. There's a sliding scale. You don't want to treat people who are insane with the same sort of kind of care and consideration you would with someone that has a reasonable approach. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I think it's more just like the approach that you took maybe a year and a half ago. I'm not sure of the time span, but you know the approach I'm talking about. The goal was to reach people who, like, you're obviously never going to reach people who are fully bought into MAGA, who are diehard, people who buy the alligator Alcatraz t-shirt merch, that kind of stuff. People like that aren't going to be reached necessarily. And I don't think you were under any illusion that you were going to reach those people. But I thought the approach that you were taking was to get people who were more in the middle, to present a left-leaning perspective that ran counter to the radical view that was pushed by people like Jordan Peterson, Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro. And obviously from a viewer standpoint, I understood that particular stance you took and the approach you took. It made sense to me. Since then, there's been like a big shift. And obviously now, I'm not saying what people like I've seen people on the left who are, really being, overly, like on the Piers Morgan show, you have people that are like disavowing while not holding their feet to the fire kind of thing. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm not looking for that. I'm just kind of wondering what's the goal of this reaffirmed approach, because I'm worried.
The goal right now is that I have to provide some like level of sanity for people that watch me, and then I have to energize the people on my side of the political aisle, and then I have to put out like a message. Hopefully, this is at all points. I'm going to put a message that I feel like is morally acceptable, I guess.
Sure.
So like, my go-to are always rape analogies, I guess. But like, imagine there's like a debate in society where should women, work, or should we be hardcore encouraging women to stay at home and not go to college and to be like housewives? I think that falls within the range of acceptable differences of opinions or beliefs in the United States. If I was to show up to debate for somebody who's like, I think that we should be encouraging women to stay home and not go to school and not work, it's like, okay, well, we can argue about this. And I'm going to put forth my view, and I'm going to try not to jump down your throat. I understand where you're coming from, and I want to encourage your viewers to, also listen to me, right? So that's like a thing that I would have that debate on. If there's somebody whose viewpoint is so out there, and they're saying like, and I always have to meet somebody somewhere where they're at, and somebody is talking about how like, oh, I think that you should be able to rape any woman you want, and then in order to meet them in the middle, I have to be like, okay, well, like, shouldn't you at least like use lubricant
that's
before
ridiculous.
you
I
rape
don't
somebody?
think
But I think that's where we're at for politics. So like my conversation with Ben Shapiro was me arguing that like before you rape a woman, shouldn't you at least lube up first? I think that's what to have him sit across from me or next to me and say that thing. I think the guardrails held, so we should elect Trump again. That is a
oh no, it's a ridiculous position to have.
Yeah,
and to be clear, I just want to reiterate.
Okay,
not reiterate, but be clear. The candor you approached and what you talked about and how you talked about it with Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, I thought those were not good conversations from you, and you could have afforded to go much harder on them.
Okay.
My issue is more nuanced than that. In that, I think so. To borrow your rape analogy,
sure. You can use an anime one if you want to. Sorry.
I fucking hate anime. So imagine you have a conversation with someone who is expressing a very extreme point of view, and you're trying to express your own view. The answer isn't really to go in the middle, but to try to sort of have a response that doesn't justify their vilification, demonization of you. In terms of, Piers Morgan has a preconceived view of who you are and what you stand for, and he wants to put you in a box that can say, this is what the left is like, this is how terrible they are, look what they are, this is him, this is the poster child for it, blah, blah, blah. It gives him ample opportunity to justify his position in that. I always thought that the strength of your prior approach was taking that weapon away from them.
Yeah, but So real quick, regards to the Piers Morgan thing, I legitimately believe that this is a form of this feels like a form of like actual victim blaming / like abusive dynamics, is where one side will do something. I'm not saying you're necessarily like the creator of this or whatever, but it's where you have this idea of like, you have to conduct yourself in such a way that is beyond any sort of criticism in order for the other side to have no weapons to use against you. This is like a battered housewife of, you know, the drunk husband comes home and she's like, maybe if his food would have been better, if the home would have been a bit cleaner, if the kids would have been a bit calmer. Like, my position on Piers Morgan, my position is not a controversial.
Totally rational.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not even the same as, because they say, well, why don't you be better than the other side? I am better than the other side. My position is the other side should disavow violence, and then we all disavow violence. Their position is the left should disavow violence, and we will never disavow violence, right? So to go onto a show saying I need to defang myself or take away my weapons when he's fabricating a worse position for me than what I actually have, like, why would I even entertain that conversation?
I don't think you should. So okay, this is the distinction.
Well, and then before you make this distinction, let me just say this too, and then you can keep this in mind, okay? Because I really do welcome better rhetorical tools, okay? If you can show me a single example in mainstream or alternative media where somebody on the left has disavowed violence and then the conversation has moved on to why won't the Republicans disavow it, I would probably switch almost immediately to that person's perspective. I haven't seen one example of that. But okay, so go ahead, give your...
Yeah, so like my response to that, okay, so I don't think you should have defanged. That's not my point. I want you to be, so like, again, this is the direction that I would ideally like to push in isn't to be a recreation of the Stephen that kind of argued against Ben Shapiro or the version of Stephen that is going against Piers Morgan in modern day. It's sort of somewhere in the middle. I'm not looking for you to absolve or try to, acquiesce to every single thing a person says just because they are so far gone that you need to accommodate everything they do. That's not what I want. What I would specifically like you to take them to task on everything that they're saying, but also not give them a reason to... Okay, so look, just to back up. I found you in 2016, 2017, right around the time where there was like this big influx of right-wing commentary that was coming in, that was providing this new age point of view that was sort of trendy at the time. I wasn't like a big fan of that stuff, but I was young and I was watching it and whatever, like, you know, but I wasn't politically active. But one question that always hung in the back of my mind was, why is there such a massive preponderance of the population that supports the other side when everyone here in this new wave so clearly favors this one? And then I found your channel, and what I found that you offered was a well-researched point of view that was not reactionary, but one thing that set you apart from everybody else was you had an extraordinary ability to explain yourself and your thought process and positions well. And I think that's a very rare thing. And it's an incredibly important thing these days.
But I mean, I don't think that's been lost. I can still do that. But the other side is not having any of these conversations.
Exactly. I'm not saying it's lost. You're the exact same. But like, I should probably say, I should have said at the forefront of this conversation, I don't think your politics or the tool set that you're occupying the spaces online with have changed in any way discernibly at all. A lot of people call you out on that. I would never, because your politics is very much the same. Or at least it seems to be the case for me, from my point of view. But what I think is often overlooked, and I'm not sure if you've overlooked this or not, I don't think you have, but like, are you familiar with like the level of literacy in the United States and what that means broadly?
That it's pretty low right now?
Well, a number that gets touted that is wrong is 54% of the population is like functionally illiterate, which is importantly different from actually like absolutely illiterate. But that's wrong. The actual figure is somewhere around 28%, which is still astonishingly high and shouldn't be that high. But what's concerning about it is that in the last 7 or 8 years, it's risen by like 11 or 12%. And I think that could go a long way to explaining why things feel a lot more tense, radicalized, why it's harder for people to communicate with each other. Because of like one feature of, and I think you've experienced this as well, in conversations, either in real life or over Discord or whatever, a phenomenon that you often encounter is a person's inability to contend with a hypothetical, even though you might think it is, you know, self-evident what you're doing with it. A person who isn't functionally literate, able to abstract
at a college level or something, isn't that what the functionally literate or literate?
Well, no, that like okay. if you're talking about people who have college level literacy, you're talking like 12% of the population. Which is, again,
Wait,
the
when
more
you say
you read
that, I'm sorry,
about-
wait. When you say that, what does that mean?
Sorry, 28% functional illiteracy would be some sixth
can't
grade
read
or
s-
under.
Okay.
Sixth grade or lower. So like it's when you look, it's like let's say for argument's sake, you're reading a paragraph or a passage in a book or whatever, and you're asked yourself, can you outline the themes, the story, and the progression of the plot? A person with a sixth grade understanding or lower can only really hold one piece of information contiguously throughout the piece. Whereas a person who's reading at a college level can take many forms of abstraction, like what's the author's voice, what's the narrator's voice, what's the purpose of the theme here, the placement within the story, blah, blah, blah. This is specifically narrative. It's actually why I cover narrative on my channel. It's the leading reason.
Okay.
But when you're looking at the broad population, and there's an ever increasing amount of adults, by the way, adults that make up this 28% that is growing, I don't think they're capable of, quote unquote, doing their own research. And just to tie this back into my broader point is that I think what I'm asking is incredibly unforgiving for you specifically, just because it's putting a lot of onus on you. But that's only because I think people like you are the only ones equipped to take on that burden. And what I mean by that is that you have an ability to take very abstract concepts, do all the research for them, and not be reactionary, and then explain it very well in a way that people can easily understand. Okay? That's very valuable. Trump, on the other hand, is someone that will live by slogans, and it's why he's so successful. He tells people, this is bad, this is good, I'm going to make it good, I'm going to make it bad. Or Biden made it bad, blah, blah, blah. Very simple concepts, very easy for people who have a low comprehension of the English language to understand, to follow. It's an easy thing. I think you can do that for the left, but the issue is that if you are embodying what they want you to be, I feel like that plays their game. In a very simple, that's as simple as I can put it. I
disagree. I feel like I disagree. I feel like the game is the exact opposite of that. But I feel like people have been mind fucked into thinking that is the game. I feel like the game is, if I call you a thing, the game right now, the conservatives do is they're going to call the left a thing, and they're going to pray to God that the left tries so hard not to be that particular thing, while the right embodies that thing. And they know that it's the more effective strategy. So the right will say things like the left wants to be like totalitarian in their approach to government or whatever. And then the left will do this thing where it's like, oh no, like Biden follows the Supreme Court. Oh no, we would never get rid of the filibuster. Oh no, we're not going to pack the Supreme Court. Oh no, we're not going to do these things. Sure. And then there's no points for that, right? Well, one of the best points that I think have ever come up was, I don't know if it was Tim Miller or somebody else that brought this up. After the conservatives stole a Supreme Court pick from the Democrats, did faith in the Supreme Court go up? Do people in this country on the right have a higher faith in institutions every single time the left lets the right run them over on some bullshit? It's never happened. They don't get any credit for it at all. But they still keep trying to play that game. And I think that's exactly what conservatives want. Conservatives want them to keep playing that game, to continue to cuck out, to continue to be nice and gentle, to continue to apologize for everything, while the conservatives just go as hard as they possibly fucking can. Like, one thing I'm going to talk about today that I just think is absolutely crazy, and nobody else in the media will talk about this on the left or the right, but like this recent church shooting, I think is like it's one of the most like one-to-one lines that you could draw of any shooting ever in the United States, to where a white Mormon killed Charlie Kirk. The left all disavowed, everybody on the left leadership, all the lawmakers disavowed. The right called for civil war. I saw a billion huge figures on Twitter, I think Megyn Kelly and others, saying things like, if your church hasn't talked about Charlie Kirk, you need to leave your church. And now some crazy QAnon, ultra Trumper MAGA dude just went and shut up a fucking Mormon church. That's crazy. But nothing will be talked about on the media connecting any of these guys.
That's fucked. That is so fucked.
So I don't know why you're taking the more cucked position. I just don't understand. It just doesn't seem to work anywhere. Like, I can't show me this working anywhere. That's all I want to see. And then I was show it. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, this is kind of why I wanted, this is why I kind of began the conversation by asking, what's the goal of this new approach? Because the goal with the other approach was obvious to me. Maybe it's just less obvious to me what the goal is with this one. Because
the goal of the new approach is
what I see. What I see in reaction to the approach you're taking is a vilification of you that I think is unjustified by people that could otherwise be more centrist or easily brought over to your side. Now, maybe I'm seeing a skewed version of what's happening, and I hope that's the case. So I just be curious to see what the.
I'm okay being a villain against these people on the right now. I will be a villain, and I should be seen as a villain because these people are fucking crazy. Okay, they are my villains. Yeah. Okay, and rightfully so. Okay. I think that the thing that goes missed a lot is people tend to identify with the media that they consume, the figures that they watch. Like you feel some kind of like personal buy-in. That's why in the past, when I would debate people on the right, if people would see me smash their favorite content creator or have like an amenable conversation with them, they'll be like, oh, I'm, when you made that guy look dumb, it made me feel dumb. Or, oh, when you were nice to this person, it made it feel like you were being nice to me. And so people come over. I think there's this huge swath of people. I'm basing this just on emails I got in that No Kings protest. I think there's this huge swath of center-left people that feel like they literally have no voice and no spokesperson. That they're sitting here watching the country going, what?
I definitely think that's true.
Yeah, I think they're sitting here watching the country. It seems like it's going in a very weird direction. You've got Hakeem Jeffries out here on his knees for fucking Eric Adams, one of the biggest fucking losers in New York mayoral history. Okay, almost up there with Giuliani, not quite. You've got, Chuck Schumer is constantly, taking it up the ass for the Republicans in the Senate to do whatever they can to negotiate on all this bullshit related to the shutdown. Everybody in the center-left media, CNN, MSNBC, NBC, WAPO, New York Times, are all bending over to give the nicest, flattery interviews to everybody on the right. And then the right-wing media is a nonstop salvo of lies, of propaganda for the president, of working directly with the administration. It's crazy. And I feel like if I lived in a media environment right now where I felt like there were a lot more strong voices on the center left, I probably would still be doing kind of the softer, more like, well, let's have a conversation and talk approach. But I don't feel like there's almost anybody in media that makes me feel sane at the moment. So I'll fill that role right now. And it's also something I have a natural inclination to, is like screaming at people.
No, I understand that. I understand there's an element of indulgence to it as well, because it does feel good to sort of just have a bit of righteousness to go in that direction. I totally understand that. I don't want to straw man this particular position that you have. So is my understanding correct to say that you were doing this because you are embodying a voice that you don't think is there, that gives people in the center left a sense that there is someone there that makes me feel sane?
Yes.
And your fear is that if you're not that voice, that they will what?
You just feel like crazy, so then you have to change. You either become a tanky
your fear is that they will change. Okay.
Yeah, because I guess if my view isn't shown anywhere in the media, I must be wrong, and then there's nobody that I can kind of resonate with, and so then I guess I either go become an independent retard moderate voter, or I go far left and find somebody who's at least willing to speak up stronger for the things they believe in.
Sure. I think there's do you not think that there's a way for you to be sort of not vindictive, but rhetorically effective, while also being very harsh on these people, because it's so easy to be harsh on these people by being okay. I saw something today that almost gave me whiplash because of how different it is to how things are handled today. So do you remember how the media used to cover shootings and all that? And all that kind of stuff, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Sure. I don't know. I don't know what specifically what you're talking about, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry. They wouldn't ever mention the shooter's name, their mission, anything they said.
Oh,
the whole idea being that the whole country was unified in saying, fuck these people, they don't deserve anything because they're psychotic murderers.
Sure.
That's so radically different now. And again, I think it's all feeding into this ecosystem that's really everywhere, where everyone's feeling like it's a team sport. And I think leaning in this direction sort of further cements one side versus another. Now, not to say that there shouldn't be two sides fighting against each other. As you said, the people who are on the MAGA side of things are really too far gone, and they
but they want it to be team sports. If you're not playing team sports and the other side is playing team sports,
sure,
what do? You ever play a game like Gauntlet Legends, or you don't play any games? Fuck, I don't know. Sometimes you can play. I get the metaphor. You can play cooperative games where one person is fucking min-maxing and stealing every pickup or every drop for the entire party because he just wants to gear himself up, and then everyone else is like, "Fuck, yeah."
Yeah. No, again, what I'm ultimately saying is that I think there's a huge preponderance of people a growing preponderance of people that are unable to think abstractly and critically simultaneously. And I think the approach that's being taken right now could be refined such that you don't just push back against the crazies on the right, but you can also create space for, those smaller, smaller followers that can, would otherwise be picked up elsewhere. Like, one thing that I was sort of anticipating from your channel that never materialized was, do you remember that you had once upon a time a plan to create a video chronicling and presenting a full account of what happened on January 6th?
Yeah, the legendary J6 video. Yeah.
Right. But like, unironically, that would be such an incredible piece of media to have online for people.
I understand.
Just to
I want to do this, and I'm still like, I'm going back and forth on it with a script and a guy on it. But like, that's a video that I think would be nice to put out that chronicles things and kind of like helps people explain it better. That's not changing anybody's mind on the right. There are a billion videos like this.
No, I'm not.
Of
but
a
like
billion things that like for the moderate dipshit voter or for the person on the right, they're like the resources are all out there for a trillion of these things. None of it has worked.
Again, like it's all abstract. It's all like multiple layers of things. Like there are like genuinely large preponderance of the population will not be able to contend with that information unless it's presented to them in one contiguous narrative. And then if they need, like, obviously you fill the description then with all the sources and whatever, right? But my mission here isn't to say, hey, you need to appeal to the right. Absolutely fucking not. To hell with those people. All right. To like, I'm the far right now. I mean, all right. There are definitely people that are more moderate that I think you can be more palatable towards while also still standing your corner and fighting.
Who and where? On what platform? Where would this work? Give me an example of this.
How do you mean? I mean, I'm talking specifically, you could be on Pierce's platform.
So like on Pierce's platform, give me an example. So I should say like, okay, I disavow the violence, guys. What do you think the conversation goes to after that?
What do you mean? Oh, like very easily. You could like. I don't think it's unreasonable just to say that it takes 2 seconds to say, okay, I disavow that. Yep. Where's Trump's?
No, yeah, and then they go, we're not talking about that right now, and then they just go to the next tweet of another leftist. Like, I've seen this happen on show after show. This is why I'm asking you. I know in your head, I know that you have like the fantasy. Everybody has this fantasy of where the conversation goes after. Then we have a nuanced discussion on why the right can't disavow violence. But on shows where other people have disavowed, it never goes there. Then they just go, well, what about these tweets? Well, what about this person on TikTok who said this? Well, what about the, this like Kamala said we need to fight in 2016? It never, this is why I'm saying, if any of you guys, because I've heard the same criticism over and again, if any of you could show me like a single time in the mainstream media where after somebody disavows, then it goes to why won't Trump do it? Then I would give this approach so much more credence. But right now, this just feels like the game that Republicans want you to play. That's all it feels.
I totally get that, right? But if you're on a talk show and someone brings you in and say, hey, what about this? They aren't going to jump off of you after one sentence because you didn't give them the answer that they wanted. So what I'm saying is that by just nipping their initial pointed criticism in the bud, you can then unload and you have all this social currency to spend then.
You'd have no social currency because then it'll go back to every quote. Fucking Andrew Wilson wanted to quote me on something that I'd said 2 years ago or something. Or somebody else will have quotes from other... Again, if this is true, just show me one time. I just want to see it happen one time.
No, I'm not asking... So, okay.
Are you saying this has never happened successfully, but you want me to be the very first person to deploy this successfully?
You were the very first person I saw deploy arguments for the center left that made it seem reasonable during a time where no one was making that content.
I feel like
I'm not actually saying... I'm not saying to change what you're doing radically. I'm just making the observation that there's an opportunity being missed by just a small tweak. I don't think you need to be any less combative at all. I'm just saying, why not just say, yeah, I disavow, and then fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. For X, Y, and Z reason.
If I could just see that working ever. Because then when I say the yeah, I disavow, first of all, I'm pretty sure on that Pierce episode I did...
working?
What's stopping this working is that they control the conversation and they get to talk about what they want to talk about. Pierce is in control of the show. On the episode that I was on, it was 4v1. And then after they if they extract my concession, then they'll go to the next thing of like, here's this tweeter, here's this thing that somebody said 4 years ago. That's what they did. I think on the very next episode they had on two guys, I think, or not the very next episode, but they had one with Tim Miller and another guy on. And it was just like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? The conversation on any of these shows has never, ever, 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 after some Dem is disavowed or whatever, has never shifted to now I want what the Republicans do it. It just shifts. They just go to the next thing that they want to talk about.
I understand that, right? And I guess what I'm saying comes off as naive because obviously I'm not privy to every inner working of your mind and every experience you've had. But I then think to myself, what's the alternative here? Because the approach you're taking feeds into exactly what they want to hear. It gives them their messaging.
They've already got their messaging, though. I would rather fight on that point. I'd rather have an hour-long episode of them.
But you can only control what you say. I'm not asking you to control what everyone else thinks or does with your information.
Yeah,
but
me
saying,
making that concession does nothing. So then we just go on to what other people say. Maybe
it costs nothing. But it costs nothing.
It does cost something. It removes me from the temporary crosshairs, and it just lets them fixate on some other thing in the left. I'd rather be the one fighting on that point.
Crosshairs, then right? But yeah, what? So you don't think that you can fight on the point? Like I said, right? So let's say hypothetically, Pierce brings you into the conversation. He asks you, "Do you disavow this thing?" And you say, "Yeah," but what's he going to do? Cut you off and just say, "Yeah, you've had 13 seconds. You didn't give me what I wanted. Let's move on." No, they'll give you your time.
But then, after I disavow, then what happens afterwards? Then they just talk about
To be clear,
Yeah.
I hate what Cenk is doing. That is not what I'm asking you to do at all. At all. You can do exactly as you're doing right now. I'm just saying, why bother give them anything? Because what you're doing is giving them what they want. Why bother doing that?
If this is what they want, then why are they asking me to disavow? How is that not what they want?
Well, no.
Don't you think they want to hear the left disavow? And I don't want to be used as a token for the next guy they bring on. Well, even Destiny disavowed violence. Why can't you?
Well, what's the alternative then?
The alternative is I think the president of the United... As in, there are some points that are worth fighting for.
I'm not going to disagree with you here.
Yeah, but I also think there's points that are worth fighting for where if you have to make so many concessions, it's what the fuck is even the point at this point? Why am I on a show with a bunch of people who can't admit that...
I think it is unreasonable for you to have to do this all the time for 100% sure. But as I said, there are some people that are unequipped to be able to do the things that need to be done. And I just get the feeling, right, that if those things aren't dealt with, it's only going to get more extreme, more severe, and it'll just get worse and worse and worse if everyone has their foot in the gas.
Yeah, but if I do this thing, it's also getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Me disavowing
but at least then you can say that you're not contributing to it. Do you think you're contributing to it by taking a different approach?
I think that you contribute to it by disavowing on one side and allowing the other side to ramp up the temperature indefinitely. I think that contributes to it more.
Why can't you just... Yeah, right, but I mean, if you kept your approach the exact same way as it is, but just took away their ability to say, you didn't disavow, you're a demonized, you're a shit person, I don't see the downside to that.
The downside is that it just looks again like a one-sided disavowal. No one on the right will disavow anything. You can still get the left to disavow over and over and over again. And
would that make them look unreasonable to people who are sitting in the middle?
Well, but clearly they don't look unreasonable, right? If Trump won a second election, they don't seem to be looked at as being very unreasonable.
No, I get that. I mean, I think the last time we spoke actually about the election was over food, and you were very certain that Trump was going to lose, and I totally get the idea that
was I very certain that Trump was going to lose.
Well, that was what you came across. You could have been memeing. I don't know, but
okay, because I don't think I've ever. I think the odds I gave were always 60-40 or something at best, or something, or 65-35 for Kamala.
I misinterpreted then in that case, but I don't know. Given the way, just especially. You're doing this tour around the United States, right? And you're meeting all these different people that are screaming in your face and whatever. That's fun. But I don't know. You're right 100% in saying that I'm putting an unreasonable amount of responsibility on you that should otherwise be going to the people that are being demonstrably unreasonable. That's 100% true.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
Let's say that the Republican Party continues to shift, and now we're at a point to where all of them are race realists, okay? And before I go to discuss black crime or anything on shows, they need me to say, I need you to admit, Destiny, black people have the warrior gene, and they are at least slightly more genetically predisposed to crime than white people. Is that a concession that I should make before I move on to the next part of the conversation?
No, but I can tell you why.
Why?
So what you just said there is objectively untrue. You can't... to be honest,
I don't know. First of all, I don't even know 100% what the genetics answer is on that. But let's assume that it was. Let's assume there was an element of truth to it.
The warrior gene.
That's the retarded conception of it. But the idea that some people, some clusters of genetic things might be more prone to violence or testosterone or whatever else.
But my point is that that's an objective claim. Someone's asking you just to say, hey, do you think it's bad that this person died? I don't think that's an unreasonable position just to say, yeah, I think it's bad that that person died, and I think who did it was a shit person.
But that's not what they're asking. They're not asking, is it bad that that person died? They're asking, do you feel guilty for it? That's what they're asking when they tell a left person to disavow.
Okay.
They're saying, this is partially your fault. Do you actually take responsibility for this and apologize? That's what the underlying ask is.
In that case, then answer it in the way that I just did. Like, what they're asking is, do you disavow? You say, I think what that person did was horrible. I think that person didn't deserve to die. That's not giving them what they want, but it's answering the question in a way that satisfies and doesn't put you in a box, and then opens you up then to unload on them. Like,
all right, sure, I can try it. I'll try it in the next. Yeah, I can try it in the next thing. Like,
you don't need to. I'm just hoping.
No, I mean, I will. I understand what you're saying, but it's like at some point, like the rhetorical maneuvering becomes. It just feels so fucking retarded that I have a president who is
100%
yeah, but like retarded to a point where I don't want to engage anymore. I'd rather be a pro gamer, or I'd rather take my AR-15 and go to the range every day and get ready for the inevitable collapse of society than have to figure out how do I navigate this environment with people that are so unfathomably fucking retarded, and commentators that are so unfathomably committed to the fucking next Nazi uprising in the United States, where it's like, how can I do a thing to where I am appealing to people while ignoring every single inclination I have to attack because of how absolutely abhorrent and wrong their position. Like, it just feels so fucking ridiculous at some point. Like,
it is ridiculous, and I totally agree and totally am sympathetic to the position that you're in. But as I said, the United States is like, and like broadly, the rest of the English-speaking world, as far as I can see, has a real literacy problem. And if a person like you gives them a very easy talking point, then the people
they always have. I know you don't believe me. I know you don't believe me, and maybe in a year or two, or somebody eventually, you keep saying this thing, and it's indicative of an underlying thought process, and it's so wrong. It's the victim blaming part. It's the crazy making part. You keep saying you're giving them a talking point. You're giving them a talking point. That's just not true. They always have the talking point. For some reason, people don't understand that. Nobody else seems to understand this. They will always have the talking point because they will always go to social media to find it. You seem to think that it's just, and I don't know how much longer it's going to be until maybe every single left-leaning person in the country is just fucking hung or hanged, that where people are like, oh shit, maybe they'll always have a talking point. Maybe it wasn't just, we weren't just one disavowal away before we hit, the gem vein in the underground fucking mine shaft. They will always have the talking point. Did you not see the Ben Shapiro Ezra Klein thing where Ben Shapiro was talking about how Ben Shapiro was saying Obama radicalized Republicans because he said Trayvon Martin looks like a black person, and so black people felt like he could have been one of them, and that was it the Harvard police or the Columbia police or whatever acted stupidly when they arrested Henry Gates, the black man in his own home who was a Harvard professor, because they got a call that was a complaint. That was enough to radicalize people on the right. And for you and other people to sit and say like, man, I wish Obama would have just been a little bit more careful with his speech there. Have you heard Obama speak compared to Trump? It's fucking insane.
Oh no.
At some point, you have to be able to stake out.
Back up.
Okay, wait. Let me just finish my point.
I don't have any issue with
At one point, you have to be able to stake out an aggressive position and fight for once in your life, to be able to fight on a point instead of capitulating on every single argument to these inbred fucking retards. You have to be able to do it on one point on anything. Please God. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So just to, I worry that we're like talking past each other here a small bit, because I specifically don't want you to defang yourself in any capacity. In fact, I thought you could have gone way harder on people like,
I understand what you're saying. I hear the words that are coming out of your mouth. But in your mind, you're thinking that there is a huge amount of progress that could be made in some of these conversations if there are small concessions that I make. And what I'm telling you is...
but like you said specifically that like they have what they want all the time.
Yes.
Right, okay. Perfect. Let that be the anchor point for where we pivot to right now, because there might be some that I'm misinterpreting then. So like when they ask you to disavow X, Y, and Z, why are they asking that question if they already have it?
Because they're just far more of it, basically. But the goal is then to bring figures on to show...
But does that give you an opportunity, Jen? But if you don't give them what they want, immediately then pivot to...
But that is what they...
why this is a fuck situation, then like, I don't understand what I'm asking isn't you to change any element of your argumentation. It's literally just to shoehorn in, as disingenuously as you want, something that can just say, yeah, I did this thing that you want me to do, but look here, look how shit everyone else is who aren't doing this. that gives you a bigger like it's so like the levels of abstraction from that moment are so easy to understand. I just feel like by not doing that one tiny little change,
why do you think
you're hamstringing yourself?
Why do you think the right never thinks about any of this? So you're asking me to take this the most insanely nuanced position on how to approach this. Meanwhile, on the right, the Epstein files are fucking buried. Tylenol is illegal for fucking pregnant women. Vaccines have been like rolled back as much as possible. Universities have come under attack in a multitude of ways. Visas are being restricted because people are saying bad things about Israelis. Funding is being pulled because they've got DEI. Professors' curriculum is starting to be dictated by. Like, at no point in any of these things do conservatives ever have the feeling of, well, maybe I should just give a little here so I'm not a target for them. They paint a bigger and bigger and bigger target. Sometimes they'll even paint a bigger target than other conservatives have painted. Erica Kirk, was like, oh, I forgive my enemies. Trump could have gone on afterwards and built on that. And he didn't. Stupid. Trump said, Trump did the equivalent of me going on Piers Morgan and saying, you know what? Not only do I not disavow, I'm glad Charlie died. That was the equivalent of what Trump did. So why the massively different standard if their mode of operation seems to be so fucking effective?
One thing that I want to probably hammer home on, just so that we're on the same page, is that my goal with this conversation isn't to victim blame, though I can totally understand why you.
Nobody's goal is to victim blame. That's how victim blame works. It just happens accidentally.
Well, I mean, some people's are, but whatever. My idea is just basically to make you a more effective and annoying weapon against them. That's literally what it is.
Yeah, I understand, but I don't think it's effective or annoying. It's exactly what they want. Like when somebody
Why would that be exactly what they want?
Because it's literally what they're asking for.
You said that what they want is okay, so just back up. Maybe I misinterpreted. You said that exactly what they want is for people like you to disavow.
Yes.
And so they can clip you. But you've also said that what they want is for people like you not to disavow.
No, I don't think they want people like me to not disavow.
Why?
Did I say that?
But why wouldn't they want you that? Because that would be because you're embodying then exactly what they are claiming the left is.
Yes, because they want it. But what the left is what they show their audience, is what they want the left to be. So they'll find whatever they can on Twitter to justify this particular position. But my position is not.
Why? But why is it? Why is you being that person that they can point to better?
I don't think I am that. No, hold on.
Find.
What the randos that they find online are not people who are saying, I don't disavow any violence. I'm glad. I'm sorry. They're not finding people who are saying, I'll disavow violence once Donald Trump does. The randos that they're finding online are people who are celebrating his fucking death.
Yeah, celebrating. Yeah,
I don't think I'm going on the show and being like, I'm glad Charlie Kirk died. Haha, that would be a very Republican thing to do, by the way. And they would all defend themselves for doing it. What I'm just saying is that, I think that it should be both sides. And I'm not going to do it until the other side does it. I think that if I was doing exactly what they wanted to, I don't know if they would be making such a fucking big deal about it. I feel like the reason why people get so fucking triggered on the Republican side is because they're seeing me take the position of, I think that the other side needs to disavow first. And I think that actually triggers the fuck out of them. Nobody's saying oh no, Destiny disavowed. Our position is so much weaker now. If that was the case, Republicans wouldn't be able to do this because Democrats have been disavowing for 12 years.
Hang on. Look, I think the issue is that I think what they want, I think I'm understanding maybe your point of view a little bit better, but I think there's still the distinction that can be made that could very easily improve your rhetorical effectiveness. I'm fucking sick of using the word rhetoric and rhetorical, by the way. They want someone to point to and say, this person does this and they're on the left, but they stand in direct contrast to all the crazies that are on their side, blah, 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 right? Why not just have it be a very small soundbite and then just use your time then to point to everything that the right does? I just it just doesn't, I don't know. To me, that isn't a concession.
Because if I give them that soundbite, then that episode and nothing I say there is sound bitten. Nobody cares. It just moves on to the next thing. If I'm willing to fight on the point, then that becomes a soundbite, and then might try to make me sound crazy or whatever. But then I would rather have that conversation of Destiny says that it's crazy for the left not to disavow unless the right disavows first. I'm okay with that conversation, and I think every person on the left should be having that conversation. But disavowing and then moving to isn't the right crazy? Okay, no one talks about it then. Boom, that episode's forgotten. There are no clips. No one gives a fuck. That's gone. All that, you don't even need to be on a right-leaning show to have that point. Shouldn't everybody disavow violence?
Right. I agree. But in that case, couldn't you just say something like Pierce could say, hey, do you disavow this? And you could say, I have. You don't need to do it there and then.
I guess, but then what about? But then the next thing is like, oh well, then what about this tweet that you made a year ago, or what about what this other person says, or what about what this?
Well, then that gives you an opportunity then to kind of hold other people's feet to the fire for things they said X, Y, and Z month, a year ago.
But they're never held accountable for it. I've done this on shows where it's like you tweeted about Paul Pelosi. I literally, it's not though. Look at the Dave Rubin thing. I literally was on Dave Rubin and I literally asked him. I was like, hey, well, what about the January 6th stuff for you? And then Dave Rubin immediately pivots off. Piers Morgan doesn't say fuck all about it. And they just move on to the next topic.
You are never okay. Look, can we just I think talking about the Piers Morgan show is actually a good example of this. When you're on that show, you're never going to be able to get the rhetorical upper hand over someone who controls the pace of it, who will cut you off, who will dictate what's being spoken about. I think that's a losing battle. I think you'd agree largely that like you thinking that you can control the narrative on that stream is a reasonable. I mean, maybe you did. Disagree.
No, but I feel like I feel like putting up the fight gives other people the ability to do so a little bit more. Like I think Mehdi, when he went to talk to Piers, he might even mention my name about the firefighter thing. Maybe he was a little bit more emboldened, or other people in line are a little bit more emboldened if they are at least seeing somebody else do it first. I think it does help. I think it pushes the conversation in a certain direction. And I would super rather have people fighting on aggressive points rather than the constant defensiveness of everything.
I don't think you should be defensive at all. Just
then why should I have to disavow in a time when the president of the United States won't? How is that not? That's a defensive position, is having to say like, okay, yeah.
No, it's not, because it actually opens you up to be offensive. It gets the bullshit out of the way that they want you to talk about, so that you can get in the way of them and say things that they don't want you to say.
If that happens anywhere, I would love to see that happen. I just don't ever see that happen. Like if that, like that's the thing.
Every single time that they come to you and say, "Hey, disavow this thing," like, yeah, okay, I already have.
Just show me a time where somebody disavows and then the conversation moves to an aggressive perspective against the conservatives. I've never seen that happen in my life. If it ever happened, then I would change my mind on this.
Well, you have your time on the show.
Yeah, and I would rather have my time fighting on the points that I did on that Piers show.
You can literally already, like literally, the thing that I'm saying is like, if you add this thing to the start of your statement, they can't hold anything against you then.
But okay,
at least not.
I mean, Andrew Wilson was literally bringing up like a tweet or a statement I made like a year ago, so we would have fought over that. I don't even know what that was in reference to.
But by anything, by the way, I don't mean that they can't bring up your past and all that kind of stuff. They'll always find something for you. But the box that they initially try to put you in, they at least won't be able to do that. And the effort required to circumvent that is literally half a sentence. I just don't see the downside.
Okay.
It also stops them from demonizing you. I don't know.
If again, this hits like a billion times harder. If you can just at some point, just if you ever see this ever happening ever a single time in the media, just shoot me a clip of it. I would love to see it happen, because I've seen it happen the opposite way so many times.
I feel like Mehdi would probably do. Does Mehdi disavow and then move on straight away, or does he just not disavow?
Mehdi might, but I think it's because Mehdi is usually in more control of the platforms where he's on. Like if I'm hosting something,
he's on Pierce, no? He's on Pierce.
He is, but he's way more of an equal, I think, on Pierce than the other people are, especially because they have history. But like if I'm on a show that I'm controlling, or if I'm talking to you right now, I have no problem disavowing violence. I don't think anybody should be violent in this environment. I think it's fucking crazy.
Obviously,
but I don't think you're a bad faith. Well, not that there are no stakes. I just think that you're going to take me for my word, and we can have an actual conversation about what we should be talking about, and you're not going to use it to just like assassinate the rest of the conversation on me, right? Yeah. So I have no problem doing that here, right? And Mehdi doesn't. I sure on the shows that he does or that he hosts on. I don't know if I've seen him talk about this on Piers Morgan yet. I don't know if somebody has a link for it, but it just, I don't know.
I feel like his approach would probably be something more akin to what I think you'd be quite good at. I think you could actually stand to be more aggressive by taking that approach personally. To be clear, the approach that I'm vouching for here is one that I would hope would yield an opportunity for you to be more aggressive, to be more effective, to be more scathing, and all that kind of stuff, all that good stuff that you enjoy indulging in, that people like watching. Like I think it just creates more space for that. Personally,
I think that if that's the approach that I take, then I don't think that Elon Musk and Trump Jr. and the two different senators that tweeted the FBI, I don't think any of them would have made those statements about me. I think
I'm missing
just a bunch of crazy people on I think it was a few Congress people, Trump's kid, Elon Musk, a couple, there were people that were doing huge tweets about me being a violent person or whatever. I don't think any of those people would have given me that attention or would have cared much if I would have just said oh yeah, I disavow violence. Why won't you guys? I think the conversation would have ended there, and then they would just move on to the next thing that you have to disavow, because that's what every other episode I've seen is what happens. That's what happens.
Are you saying that you got the attention that you've gotten because you've been
I think so. I would say so.
Intentionally inflammatory.
No, because that's a retarded way of conceptualizing it. It's not intentionally
I'm
inflammatory.
just asking. I'm not actually.
No, I
trying
know,
to,
but my point is correct. It's a correct point. You're asking me to move off of a correct point to be more rhetorically effective. I don't mind taking a lot of heat for an inflammatory statement that is correct. The correct point is that the president of the United States should lead with disavowing violence. It's not even a controversial point in a country where people's brains are.
Okay, so maybe we don't agree then. So I don't think you need to abandon that point. I think the point that you're making remains the same. It's just like
if the president is unwilling to disavow violence, then the opposing party should not disavow violence. That's my point. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that, but I think that's a fully reasonable point. I think it's insane that I even have to say the statement, because in the past, this is just not a thing that you would ever think about, because the idea that the president of the United States wouldn't be telling everybody in the U.S. to calm the fuck down is just inconceivable. But that's where we're at. So, I mean, and I think that's where we should be at. And again, you can see the difference. This also goes along with my statement that everybody got ass pay, and I guess YouTube demonetized before, that conservatives should have more fear about a violent society. Right now, they seem fearless. It seems like they're inviting civil war, or they're inviting political assassination, or they're inviting this type of violence.
I just don't think that, like, I don't think it serves you well to go to that level.
Okay. I think that's where
because what they're doing is bad. Why would you try to do the same as it?
But it's not the same thing. There's a difference. Okay. No, stop. Because I know you can try to clarify your sentences, but the way that they come out, I know what is happening in your mind, right? When you say it's the same thing, you think that me and Trump are making the same statements, but we're not. Donald Trump is saying the enemy are the Democrats and they are evil. And I'm saying, and Trump is saying that when this is almost, it's not a verbatim quote, but off that Fox and Friends thing, he's saying that when the radical left commits violence, it's like terrorism. When the radical right does it, it's because they're tired of the terrorism, right? My statements are not anything even remotely similar. My statement is the president of the United States should disavow all violence. And then once he does, I'll disavow all violence. I want to, okay? I don't want to get killed at some fucking event. That's lame as fuck. It's not the same as the president. Position. Yeah, but it's not the same as the president. Our positions aren't even remotely the same here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Maybe I've misinterpreted it at some point, but like that seems reasonable. Like I definitely think that, like, obviously you want to hold the president's feet to the fire, and anyone that isn't is doing the wrong thing. Maybe there's a way of answering the question that they bring to you, because like I can't get past the initial implication of you not disavowing, because I just think that like it's not something that I personally care about. I know you disavow this shit. That's not something that I'm trying to kind of like, oh, please just disavow it.
Well, I'm curious. Do you think that nuclear war is bad?
Of course.
Would you support the United States unilaterally, like, disarming all of their nuclear warheads?
Nope.
Why? Isn't that like?
Wait, sorry. I thought you were saying something else. Sorry. Well, it depends on if everyone else does.
Yes. So what's the difference between what you just said there and what I'm saying? Like, I don't think the statement that you made was that radical. I think it was a totally understandable and a totally reasonable statement. Yeah, you're not going to disassemble all your nuclear warheads. If Russia doesn't, everybody else doesn't first.
Right, but if someone's asked, like, yes, but if someone's positioning you, like, realistically, obviously you know this, when you're put into position by Piers Morgan and he gives you a very loaded question, he's looking for something specific. Just don't give it to him. But also take the heat off of yourself and then point as much fucking heat and shit to the person who needs that shit pushed at him. Realistically, I don't know. I get where you're coming from, and I agree that the situation you're in is ridiculous, but you can only control what you can control. And I don't know. I think you can afford to not change anything regarding what you're saying versus.
I mean, even on that Pierce show, I'm pretty sure I said twice that, like, political violence is not acceptable. I'm pretty sure I said that twice, but they wanted, like, a more specific statement on, I think, Charlie Kirk or something.
Sure. I don't know. I didn't watch that. I'm just assuming based on, like, a couple of clips that I saw. But
sure. I just think the noteworthy things are, one, I think the left needs to be able to fight more on things, and two, you will never ever find the right trying to take these positions of like strategic disavowal or whatever. You'll never ever see them take these positions, and it seems like they are dominating the media landscape and the rhetoric landscape.
Well, okay, that's the point. I just think this would make you more effective.
Okay,
that's all.
I'll keep it in mind. Okay.
Yeah, I don't mean, like, maybe I'm like, I don't know, naive. I don't know, but like it's just so strange that, like, it's gotten to a point where when you want to be the adult in the room, that's seen as a weakness.
That's not being the adult in the room, though. Unilaterally disavowing things is being the child who thinks that an author is guiding the story to the correct end. Like, that's a thing, thinking
unilaterally. Sorry, repeat that middle part again.
That one person in one side disavowing violence because that's some virtuous thing by the fact that they're saying they disavow violence. But I mean, like, you're the anime guy, right? Have you seen all of what?
I use anime as a proxy to try to teach about narrative theory.
Sure.
It's like
have you seen
combat of literacy kind of thing.
You've seen Batman, right? Have you watched all of like Rurouni Kenshin?
No.
Fuck you. Okay. In every anime or in every superhero story,
I feel like you're a bigger anime nerd than I am.
Maybe. In every anime or in every superhero story, whatever, when there's some guy who like promises to never kill his opponents or he's got some rule like that, notice how the way that it's written narratively, there's always some kind of thing that bails the main character out and actually kills the enemy without him having to do it. It's always that way in Batman. They get locked up indefinitely by the police and they don't have to worry about him, or someone else shows up and kills the bad guy. But in the real world, it might not work that way, right? In anime, I feel like actually you could argue maybe Spider-Man, although that's not really the same thing, where he lets the one crook go, but he didn't let him go for virtuous reasons. He did it because being an asshole. But like the idea that like if you don't kill some opponent and then he actually comes back and he kills a whole bunch of civilians, I think that people would view that interaction as being far less virtuous. And right now there's this very naive virtuosity that's attached to this idea of like, oh, everybody just has to tell everybody to calm down and disavow. There's no virtue in that if the other side's not doing it. If anything, I would say that's a lack of virtue. You're engaging in a vice there where you're too weak or unwilling to take a stand against something that's clearly immoral and clearly not right. And there is no virtuosity, or there's no virtue. Is it virtuosity? There's no virtue in. There's no virtue in standing in that and saying like, oh, just keep turning the other cheek until they kill us all. LOL.
I don't want you to do that. I want you to attack them. So how is that?
Sure, but I'm saying that in the general conversation of like, the Democrats need to disavow. I'm saying that there's no virtue in continuing to disavow, and somebody that views that as being some like attack point, that's like, no, you're president.
No, I don't think it's an attack point. I don't think it's an attack point. I just think it's a common decency point.
But what is? Think about what you just said. What is common decency? What does common mean there? It's
something that the president specifically isn't doing right now.
Yes, so both sides have to share it. It's not common decency when just one side does it.
But for you to be able to present that contrast, that if I can do this, why can't the United States president why can't he do it?
Barack Obama's done it. Joe Biden's done it. Kamala, every single large leader of the left did it. Why would it matter if I do it? It doesn't make sense.
Because you're the one who's talking on these shows, not them.
I think if they cared about that, I think that they would look to all of the leadership doing it. And if they cared about that, then their own side would be doing it. They don't care about that. That doesn't mean anything to them. Because if it did, they would be demanding from their own side.
Okay, look, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not saying spend 10 minutes just deep throating whoever's talking to you and giving them everything that they want. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just saying, hey, look, yeah, I disavow, but fuck him for doing this. Fuck him for doing this. Like it.
You don't think that we would be having the same conversation if I disavowed, and then the next question from Piers was, well, this tweet got 452,000 likes, and then this.
If you and me would have the same conversation.
No. If you and me were having the conversation we're having now, okay? Let's say Piers, let's say I disavowed a meeting. Let's say, well, why won't the Republicans do this? And then Piers said, well, but Destiny, well, what about when this guy tweet here and he gets 100,000 likes? Isn't this bad that the Democrats are celebrating this, that the liberals on the media are celebrating this? And if at that point, I were to go, no, I'm not going to speak for them or disavow what they're saying. The president should disavow. That would be the next fight point for the whole show. And then I feel like you would be coming on here saying, why don't you just say that tweet is unacceptable, just like you said in your own statement that violence is unacceptable? Why wouldn't you just say that? You don't think so? I think it would be this exact same conversation.
So here's the thing, right? Before this conversation, I did actually ask myself that question because I did want to figure out where's the line, because obviously I'm aware that there's a sliding scale there, and like I'm very aware of like them being unreasonable people to talk to. I totally get that. And so, yeah, I would draw the line there. You've done what you needed to do. You don't need to bend the knee anymore. I don't even think it's bending the knee to them. It's just doing what people should be doing. And yeah, I definitely wouldn't be asking for you to do anything more than that. Genuinely speaking. Okay. Well,
If you see any examples of working in the future, shoot it to me, and maybe I'll try to incorporate this.
I get the feeling that Mehdi would probably employ a similar strategy where he would just get the fucking shit, boring stuff done out of the way in like a quarter of a second, and then just bulldoze them straight away.
Yeah, but then the question
away
is,
the talking point.
Yeah, but I want to see it take away the talking point, not him trying to bulldoze and then them
taking
ignoring
away
him.
a talking point. That talking point being you are a bad person.
Okay.
That's the talking point. You take away that one, they can move away to the next thing. You can't control that, but the one thing that you can control is this one thing here. It gives more credence to what you're saying in the moment as well to people watching, if they're watching the entire thing.
Okay. I think
like
show it to me. I would love to see it, and I'll keep this in mind for my next few conversations, okay? Maybe I'll try it just so I can say I told you so, okay?
I mean, like, I don't know what you're, I don't think there would be a massive change in how they react to you. I don't think there would be any change, in fact, in how they would react to you.
Well, the massive change is they're really mad about what I'm saying right now, which I'm okay with, because I think my point is correct. The only difference is if I move on to the next point, will I garner any attention trying to hold their feet to the fire, or will it just be another forgotten show because then they move on to the next thing and we never actually talk about that?
Right. I'm talking more specifically just about like capturing the people that are just kind of watching that don't really know what's going on. I just think the more reasonable that you seem, the better the chances, really. That's all I'm kind of saying.
Yeah, I don't think it makes me sound reasonable. If people are coming in, it doesn't make me sound reasonable though. It just makes me sound guilty. Like if somebody comes in and it's like, don't you disagree?
If you want me to come, like if you want me to message you something, a response that doesn't sound guilty, that doesn't the response that I want you to give isn't one that takes on guilt for what's happened, because that's absolutely not what should be happening. It should just be saying, yeah, that was fucked. Like it doesn't need to be you taking in any responsibility for this. Fuck that.
I understand that you don't have to say that, but I'm saying that any concession there I think is going to be perceived as, especially if none of the others, like if 3 people on the show are saying the radical left violence, the radical left violence, the radical left violence. Destiny, what do you have to say about this? I agree, all political violence is bad. It's bad. That like nobody should be getting killed for political disagreements in this country. It's not good. I mean, like, what is the?
I know that you and I agree on that. Obviously, I know, like, which is why I'm having the conversation. Or bothering to have again. I appreciate sitting down to have the conversation because obviously it's a very boring one. Like, the position that I'm occupying is really boring. But like, yeah, I don't know. I just think you could be more. I think if you did take that small tweak, didn't take on any fucking responsibility that you think they might be trying to levy onto you, and just move on. I think there's more room for you to be more aggressive and more effective, and to hold their feet to the fire. That's the only reason why I bothered to have the conversation, because I just think it would be a more effective approach.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I love you. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Any other thoughts? Okay. Stay safe. Be careful.
Yeah. Later. Bye.
Bye. Damn.